On a chilly Saturday in November, a few thousand people have flocked to Philadelphia to see their man, Ron Paul, the Texas congressman who's running for president. He may not be the first name on the Republican ticket that pops into your head, but he's got an army of avid supporters who have been working hard to change that. But many of them became Ron Paulites, not from seeing him on the nightly news or watching one of his campaign ads on TV. No, they found him on the internet.
I think I was on YouTube looking for some kind of guitar video or something.
Eli Hughes and his daughter drove 4 hours to get to this rally. He says he never cared for politicians in the past until he stumbled across a Ron Paul video online.
Just hearing the man speak sold me. It wasn't a highly charismatic, kind of speech like a lot of the other candidates give out. He was just speaking truth, and, I was impressed by that.
Ron Paul has managed to not just impress people, but to change them from apathetic to active supporters. And he hasn't done that with hugs and handshakes or the help of the mainstream media.
It has been said that there were 2 or 3 dozen spammers out there running the campaign, and it looks like there's a lot more.
His supporters have taken the internet by storm, propelling Ron Paul's little-known campaign into the spotlight. And they've done it by tossing out the traditional campaign playbook. He may be the spoiler this election, but the Ron Paul revolution could have a lasting effect on the political landscape for years.
Ron Paul's campaign is the closest to a campaign truly outside the mainstream media that I've seen.
Zephyr Teachout was Howard Dean's online organizer and now teaches at Duke University.
Ron Paul's campaign is so extraordinary to many of us because even while it was getting massive online traffic and we knew that people were meeting offline through meetups, you'd be lucky to get a whisper of his campaign in a lot of media outlets.
Teachout says part of why Ron Paul was not getting much coverage early in his campaign was that he didn't have the name status and he hadn't raised enough money to get the attention of the mainstream media.
When Ron Paul supporters say, well, we have more YouTube views than anybody else, and the New York Times says, well, so-and-so raised more money than anybody else, it's not clear why we should, as Democrats, small d Democrats, value one more than the other.
But that would all change because of this guy.
There's a slogan that goes around on signs that says, Dr. Paul cured my apathy.
Trevor Lyman has uprooted his entire life in Miami Beach and has moved all the way to New Hampshire just to help Ron Paul. He's come a long way, not just geographically, but politically. You're 37 years old.
True.
Had you voted before?
No.
Never?
Never. And I'm ashamed to say that, but I felt that the system was okay.
It's a big leap from being somebody who never voted to suddenly changing your whole life because of a candidate. What was the moment when it clicked for you?
It does go to the war and the fact that not only are our soldiers dying, but innocent people are dying.
There are other anti-war candidates.
But then there was 2006, and they all switched their story. We gave them the opportunity to end this war.
You feel betrayed by the Democrats?
Absolutely. I feel betrayed by Congress as a whole. Absolutely.
The best commitment we can make to the Iraqi people is to give them their country back. That's the most important thing that we can do.
Ron Paul is the only Republican candidate who supports immediate withdrawal from Iraq, and his fierce and consistent opposition to the war attracted Trevor Lyman. But like so many Ron Paul supporters, Trevor first found Ron Paul while surfing on the internet, on MySpace, a social networking site.
People started to replace their personal picture with Ron Paul's picture.
Hundreds of people on MySpace were changing their personal profiles into Ron Paul profiles.
Writer messages and say hi. Yeah, the whole family's on there. It's pretty funny.
He didn't know who Ron Paul was, but then he saw some videos on YouTube and was hooked. Trevor didn't stop there. He had seen a video online suggesting a one-day fundraiser. He did a little research to see if people would really contribute, and he got a great response. So he created the website November5th.com.
But we have 2 weeks to really get,
Brian Costin, the organizer for a meetup group in Chicago, remembers that day.
Throughout that day, I was on Ron Paul's website watching this banner go up and up and up, this graph which just, you thought it was going to slow down. You thought it was going to slow down and people were going to stop donating, and it didn't stop through the entire day. It was just consistent. It was about $150,000 an hour, and it was just incredible.
By the end of the day, they had broken all the records. They raised a whopping $4.2 million. Mainstream media finally took notice.
37,000 people in one day raising $4.2 million for Ron Paul.
Amazing numbers.
I mean, Ron Paul wows them online.
Ron Paul, Wolf, had a good day yesterday, a very good day.
When you saw what happened, $4.2 million in a day, when you found out, what was your reaction?
Well, it was a tremendous surprise. How did they do this?
What did it say to you that it took raising millions of dollars for you to be taken seriously?
I think it's sad. I think the message should be the only thing that counts, but you can't get the message out with the money. Now, if I had been a rich individual or celebrity, the views wouldn't have mattered. It would have just been the fact that I'm very wealthy, or that I have name status, and therefore the media would have paid attention to me.
But what makes this fundraiser so unique is that Ron Paul's campaign had nothing to do with it.
Did the Ron Paul campaign ever get in touch with you?
Only afterwards.
So you were basically just...
Yeah, I've never met him, and I've only spoken with him once on the phone, and this
You've
was
never
afterwards.
met Ron Paul?
No.
But you raised $4.2 million for him?
Sure, I played my role, but it was all of us,